Attention passionate Washington Commanders fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC East and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Washington Commanders' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Washington Commanders fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with YOUR, FRINDS and Washington Commanders FANS. Let's get to the news now, folks. If you've been paying attention to the NFL offseason, you know that the Washington Commanders have been making some serious moves. They've been aggressive, they've been strategic, and they've been looking to establish themselves as a real force in the NFC East and beyond. Coming off a season that left many fans feeling a mix of hope and frustration, finishing 7-10, this team is clearly on a mission. They've revamped their offensive line, bringing in new talents like Laremy Tunsil, who just gives that immediate upgrade on the line, and they've also added weapons to their wide receiver core, like Deebo Samuel, who's known for his explosiveness and versatility. Those moves alone already shifted the offense from being somewhat predictable to a more dynamic unit, but many analysts believe they're not done yet. In fact, some of the most intriguing whispers in NFL circles right now suggest that the Commanders might be eyeing something even bigger, something that could turn their fortunes around overnight. And I'm talking about a potential blockbuster move. Yes, I'm talking about trading for Tyreek Hill, the all-pro wide receiver from the Miami Dolphins. Now I know what you're thinking, Tyreek Hill. That's a bold name, a true game changer. And the truth is, he is exactly that. Hill has been one of the most electrifying players in the league over the past few seasons, and his speed alone makes him a nightmare for defenses. But the big question, would the Dolphins actually consider trading him? That's where it gets interesting. According to some prominent NFL analysts, like Douglas Fritz from Clutch Points, there's a real possibility that Washington could make a push for Hill if Miami begins to falter early in the 2025 season. Why? Because the Dolphins, as talented as they are facing some tough decisions. Hill, who's entering his age 31 season, carries a hefty cap hit, around $30 million annually, and if Miami doesn't start strong, they might decide it's time to reset for the future. Miami has a talented roster, no doubt, but sometimes a team's performance early in the season can influence their entire approach, especially if they're looking towards the future beyond 2025. Now, imagine that scenario. If Miami struggles to meet expectations, and if they start thinking about rebuilding or retooling, Hill could become available. And that's where Washington, with their ample salary cap space and aggressive front office, could step in. They've already shown they're willing to spend to win, and bringing in a player of Hill's caliber could be the final piece to push this team into true contender territory. Think about it. Pairing Hill with Terry McLaurin, who's been developing into a star himself, and Deebo Samuel, who's got that unique ability to line up in multiple positions, could give Washington one of the most explosive wide receiver trios in the entire league. And that's not just talk. These players combined could stretch defenses to their breaking point, creating opportunities for quarterback Jayden Daniels to grow and flourish early in his NFL career. You see, Hill's recent production has been nothing short of spectacular. Last season, he amassed nearly 800 receiving yards and scored 13 touchdowns. His speed is legendary, running sub-4. 340-yard dashes is part of his repertoire, and his veteran savvy means he knows how to find soft spots in coverage. For a young quarterback like Daniels, who's still learning the nuances of the NFL game, having a receiver who can turn a quick route into a big play is invaluable. Hill's presence would not only elevate the passing game, but also open up the entire offense. Defenses would have to respect his deep speed, which would, in turn, create more space for McLaurin and Samuel underneath. But here's where it gets really intriguing. The Dolphins, as of now, haven't indicated any desire to part ways with Hill. They're still competitive, still aiming for the playoffs, and Hill remains a key part of their offensive identity. Still, circumstances can change quickly in the NFL. If Miami begins to stumble, or if they feel that their roster needs a reset for the future, Hill's name might come up in trade talks. And if that happens, the Commanders are perfectly positioned to swoop in. They've got enough draft capital, thanks to their recent investments, and enough salary cap room to absorb Hill's massive contract. It's not just about money, though, it's about the opportunity. Washington's new regime is clearly in a win-now mindset, and adding a player like Hill could be the piece that makes all the difference. Now, I won't sugarcoat it. Trading for Tyreek Hill wouldn't be without controversy. He's had his off-field moments, and his contract is massive. But when you're talking about a player who can change the entire complexion of your offense and elevate your team from good to great, sometimes you have to take calculated risks. The Commanders, with their roster already on the rise, could see Hill as the final spark to ignite their playoff ambitions. Think about the possibilities. A deep threat that defenses must respect, a playmaker who can turn any catch into 6 points, and a veteran presence that can help develop young players like Jaden Daniels. It's exactly the kind of move that could define a franchise's trajectory for years to come. Of course, nothing is guaranteed in the NFL, and other teams might also be interested if Hill hits the market. The Los Angeles Chargers, for example, or even some teams in the NFC that are always looking to shake things up. But Washington's unique combination of financial flexibility, strategic vision, and ambitious front office makes them one of the most logical landing spots should Hill become available. And if the Dolphins decide to pull the trigger, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Commanders making that call, trying to strike while the iron is hot. So, what does this all mean for Washington fans? Well, it's simple. We're witnessing the potential for a seismic shift in the NFC East and the league as a whole. If the Commanders pull off a trade like this, they could leapfrog their rivals and position themselves as serious contenders in the NFC playoffs. It's a bold move, no doubt, but one that could pay off massively. The team is already trending upward, and with a few strategic additions, they could be looking at a deep postseason run in 2025. And now, Washington Commanders fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on all of this? Do you think the team should go all in and try to acquire Tyreek Hill? Would you be willing to part with some draft picks or even some younger players to make this happen? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion really matters, not just to us but to the future of the franchise. Remember, the NFL is always changing, and sometimes the boldest moves make all the difference. Keep your eyes peeled, because if Hill ever hits the market, you can bet the Commanders will be in the mix, making a serious push to reshape their destiny. And as always, I'll be back soon with more updates, more insights, and more news on your Washington Commanders. Stay tuned, stay passionate, and keep supporting your team. The best is yet to come, and with the right moves, this franchise could be heading into a new era of success. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.